Hey, welcome back. So, sorry we're doing it, and kind of part of me wants to just do this for the entire rest of the game. Because, like, who am I trying to impress here? We just want to see the game, right? We don't care about... Oh, and I forgot to do this, this teleport thing. I think you have to teleport once to unlock it. And then there's like a fast travel station here. But we're gonna beat this boss. We're gonna talk about Dalton's maybe real quick because I a lot of good comments from Dalton this week. Thank you, Dalton. And one of them he talked about the trolley problem, which is interesting. I don't know too much about it, just that and I didn't even look it up. I usually when Dalton has a question like that, I'll look it up just to make sure I know like 100% what I'm talking about. But I didn't look it up this time. But so from what I remember, it's like you have a trolley on a track, and it splits off into two things, and you're the guy at the switcher who can switch the trolley from the left thing to the right thing. And on the main path there's like a how many people are on the main path? On the main path there's like 5 people standing on the rail, and they don't see the trolley, and you can't warn them. And if you don't switch the thing, the trolley's gonna hit them and kill all 5 of them. But if you do switch the trolley and switch it onto the other track, there's it's the same thing, but there's only one person. So the dilemma is like, do you pull the switch and kill the one person, or do you just stay out of it altogether and just let whatever happens happens? The 5 people die. And there's a lot of interesting things about that, like, but like I never really studied this kind of psychology or whatever, so I don't know too much about it. I just think about, like, what I said to Dalton was like, my perspective is probably one where like I want to stay out of it, and I don't want to be the one who pulls the switch and kills the person. And I think that's most people. In that situation, most people, if they knew that, they wouldn't do it. I think most people like rationalize it like, well, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. Like, maybe if I don't pull the switch, like, maybe they will get out of the way. I just don't want to be like a part of it. I don't want to be any part of this. But I'm sure there are some people who's like, yeah, I'll kill somebody, I don't care. But it is an interesting psychology situation of like, you don't want to be responsible for one person's death, even if it means saving 5 other people. And what would be the number? Like, what if it was 1,000,000 people and you had to pull the switch to save one person? Would you do it then? I'm like, well, maybe actually yes, I could do it. And then that kind of relates to a bunch of different things in society that I can't really think of right now, but like, I don't know, if you kill Hitler or something, I don't know, whatever. But that was just an interesting topic that I don't know anything about. But what do you think? Would you pull the lever? I don't think I could do it. Yeah, you can always rationalize it to be like, if you didn't do something, you could be like, oh, well, if I did pull a switch, maybe something bad would have happened anyway. Maybe they all would have died. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. But if you pull the switch and somebody dies, like, then you directly caused someone's death. It's harder to rationalize that away and be like, well, I saved those other people. But you were still directly the cause of someone's death, and that's hard to be okay with that. So that's what so here's an example of that, like climate change. Kind of. I guess it's a just kind of a human nature of like inertia or something. Like, you, if things are going the way they're going, so the way we're going now, everything's kind of fine, but like, okay, in 100 years from now, if we keep pouring CO2 in the atmosphere, everyone's gonna die. Okay. But if we stop doing that now, it could cause like a lot of economic harm to people. Like, people could lose their jobs. We could have a recession. So if we don't take any action, if we don't pull the trolley thing, it could cause a lot of harm. Like, global warming could kill a lot of people, right? But if we do pull the switch and just stop, like, we actively are trying to fight climate change by making all these laws that you can't have CO2 emissions or whatever, then you're killing the one person of recession and economic harm and people losing their jobs. I guess that is kind of the basic idea, is like, given the, if when humans are presented with two bad choices, that will be bad for both choices. They'll usually pick the one where they don't have any involvement, of just like, okay, just status quo, like, just keep doing what we've been doing, and then people won't get mad at me because it's like, well, we were just doing what we were doing. You can't get mad at me. Like, we were just doing that. But if you actively make a choice to change something, and then something goes wrong, you feel worse because you're like, oh, I changed this to go into a different direction. So it's my fault that we killed that one person, even though we may have avoided killing those other more people. I think that's kind of the crux of it, right? So is that interesting? I don't know. I've been reading Dorian Gray. How many notes do I have about Dorian Gray? Kids are anxiety machines. So, yeah, did I mention I started reading The Picture of Dorian Gray? I don't know why. I need, like, more book recommendations like this, because, like, I just heard about this book, and I read the summary. It's like, okay, Oscar Wilde, it's about this guy, he gets a painting, and it's interesting. So the premise of the book is, there's this guy who does a painting of this man named Dorian Gray, who's, like, super beautiful. He's the most handsome man in the world, Dorian Gray. And Dorian Gray takes the painting and realizes, he makes like a wish, like, oh, I kind of wish that the painting would get more ugly and older, and I would stay beautiful forever. And then that's what kind of happens. But it's very good so far. I'm about halfway through. I like it a lot. It's very simple in... I guess I like stories like this that are very simple narratively of just like, okay, there's one simple thing happening. Well, that's not true, because I liked... It depends. I guess when it comes to like characters and narrative, I don't like a lot of trying to understand like the motivations of like a lot of different characters and all this different stuff happening. But I like history books about like politics and like, oh, this character was doing this and then this character was doing this, like kind of Game of Thronesy. So I like a lot of different things, but so this is one thing that I kind of like, which is this a very focused narrative book about one character, but there's a lot of depth to it, where it's just kind of exploring like what is beauty and what does it mean, what is art? I don't know. Dorian Gray is beautiful, but he has a conversation with this guy like Henry or something, and Henry's like, for some reason this is the first time Dorian Gray's ever realized this, which is like, one day you're gonna be gross and old. And Dorian's like, oh my, you're right, I never thought of that. That's terrible. I don't want that. And so then an interesting part of the book is where he meets like this girl who's really beautiful and he wants to marry her. I don't know, should I spoil it? I'm not gonna spoil it. You should read it. She's like an actor. That was an interesting part of it too, where he was attracted to her because she was able to express like a lot of different emotions and be all these different people, and he's like, how boring is like a normal girl who can just do one thing and be one person. This actor can be so many different people, and she's so interesting. And I actually kind of related to that because I thought that way. Like, that's something that I mentioned when I was talking about that girl at improv. And being like, she was playing all these different characters and being like, I like people who are just able to express a lot of different emotions, I guess. Who are able to express themselves. I mean, they don't have to be different people, but just able to do that. I was like, yeah, that is cool, Dorian. It's not a very attractive name, no. Not a Dorian Gray. It's kind of bleh. He's jealous of the beauty of the painting. I liked the way he described that, because he's like, once the painting is painted, it's more beautiful than me because I'm already like 3 seconds older than the painting. And like, so he gets kind of jealous of the painting's beauty. Which is funny, because sometimes I look at pictures and I'm like, that guy's so young and cool. Of me. Now I'm an old man. But I still got pimples. I think people are still surprised at how old I am whenever I talk to people. And maybe it's just because like I've never had... part of me thinks like, oh, because I've never had like alcohol or smoked or anything, that like my face looks a little bit younger. Because I went to the bank today, and just like when I interact with people, I get this feeling that they think I'm younger than I actually am. I've never gotten that key, and I need to get it. I don't know how to get it. But today is the end of the day. And it's not really an attractive thing either. It's just like they think I'm younger. Like, I don't know if they think I'm good looking. They probably don't, but they think I'm younger. I just get that impression. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm almost 30. Like, there are some people who I meet, like they treat me treat me like I'm younger than I'm younger than them. And then if I told them like, oh, I'm actually 30, I'm almost 30, they'd be like, oh, I should be treating you differently. But anyway, that's it. We're making good progress. I know I cheated, but it's fine. I need to get that, you get a grappling hook. Whoosh. See you tomorrow.